Have you ever had a dream, an aspiration, ambition, something you'd really love to achieve, but so far it's eluded you? The barrier is normally a blend of lack of self-belief, fear, imposter syndrome. It's these thoughts that stop people before they ever get started. But what if we could remove these barriers? What if we could dismantle these mental blocks? If we could do that, there's a very good chance that we could change some lives. This is our mission. Over the course of 90 days, we're going to help amazing people to take on their biggest, hairiest, scariest goals. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? This is mental. So many people have ambitious goals, things they really want to achieve. The question is, are they willing to do what it takes to achieve them?
So where I got to, as I said, was a bunch of random thoughts, like some answering some specific questions to unearth some stuff. Some a bit of a revelatory 4 o'clock in the morning thing.
Yeah.
This kind of makes sense to me. I think I used the phrase last time about getting out of my way.
Yeah.
And I think it was the spark of maybe what it is that's holding me back with that. And also what was hard as well was reflecting on, especially the Falcons chapter of my life, about what was it about that environment?
Yeah.
What did Blackie do? What did Inga do? Rob and the whole team? What did they provide for me there that specifically shaped me?
We spent today at Tony's house to put structure to all of the thoughts that he's got, the ideas, the content, the method, the stories, and to be able to pull those together into a really logical narrative. Easy for him to tell and easy for him to share, but also easy for an audience to absorb. What have you concluded about that period of your life and what the Falcons environment gave you and how that allowed you to kind of bounce back from your experiences at England and then propel yourself from there?
Well, we come back to that word care. It was a caring environment. So where I'd like to take it is an aspect of we need it in more environments.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm unique in any way of wanting a high-performing care environment or high care environment that leads to high performance, because I think more of us are out there doing it, but to a certain extent, society doesn't promote it enough.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at some of the individuals involved. And I'll say Inga, he was the best player in the world.
Yeah.
And he became mate.
Yeah.
And so I was blessed with that, but I was also blessed to see someone who was the best in the world, but who was highly caring.
Yeah.
And it was like a validation, a justification of a sense of, do you know what, all the ways that I like to operate, he's the best in the world, and that's how he does it. So it's okay. It's more than okay. It's in fact, it should be, when I look back at it thinking, I should take more from that to say, he was the best in the world. This is how he operated. Blackie was the best in the world in my eyes in terms of a strength and conditioning coach and a psychologist and all the other sort of hats he was wearing. But the guy that provided the culture and the environment we operated under, and it was all about highly caring and love.
Yeah.
It was probably the first time I'd seen the word love used in a rugby environment.
Yeah.
And it was from Blackie.
Yeah.
And from Inga.
So what did they do to make you feel cared for?
That you matter as a person, and matter to the extent where you're an individual, you have your own needs, and we want to talk to those needs and meet those needs, as opposed to quite a few environments have been in it tended towards you're a number 11 for England or a number 14 because Rory was playing, so you're a winger for this team. What are you going to do as the unit? You're almost like on a production line, you have a job to do and that's your job. And almost like, I don't care what your needs are as an individual. I have my needs for you as the winger playing for England or the Lions.
Tony wants to help people really understand the importance of caring on a personal level, on a team and leadership level, on a corporate level, on a social level. He wants people in the world to care more. And I think that is a fantastic cause. I want to help him as much as possible to bring all of that to life. I've scribbled a couple of things down here. So build a great team, I've scribbled down. Invest in yourself. And the last one is become your own coach, which if we take all that we've said about caring so far, this would mean that you had to fiercely challenge and support yourself.
Yeah.
You'd have to be your own inner Blackie and your own inner Inga, and also be able to fiercely challenge yourself.
And I think that's the scary part, if I'm really honest. Do I have the drive to put that hard work in? You know, I've always known that if someone said to me, go and do some reps on the bike, you know, I'll do it at as soon as Blackie's was on my side saying, oh, you got another 20 in you. I'm just like, no, I've got no, you did it.
Yeah.
You know, but to fiercely challenge in that way yourself, I'm scared fearful of that I don't have the wherewithal, the drive, the inclination, is that what I want to do? Well, brand Tony relies on me knowing who Tony is. I've been in environments which is all about team, and it's all about almost other people filling in the gaps for me, and that's reliance on others. You know, that Covey mentality about how can we move from dependence to independence and interdependence. You know, and because I've been in team environments for so long and been reliant on team environments, I've been quite passive in terms of my own needs being fulfilled and my own self-care. And I probably didn't have the level of maturity in my thinking to know what I wanted from it. It made sense that it had to be about brand Tony, if you like, because that's definitely what I need to do. But without realizing there was a fundamental step before then. It would completely defeat me if I'm defined as a rugby player only. You know, and there's the transition phase, there's the sense of who you are, your identity, which is strong in my journey. Yeah. Because I've had 2 careers in some really strong identity worlds. You know, elite rugby player, commercial A380 captain. Yeah. And believe me, some captains will push a lot of international superstars a long way in terms of their ego.
What do you think in here is the stuff that will really make people sit, think?
I think there's one point that I don't want to miss out is that I think is is this idea of legacy, this idea of when you get this right, you know, those people that get this right will leave their mark on others in ways you can't imagine. And it's the way the way I described the story about with Inga and Blackie, how it's that sense of they never leave you, even though they're gone now. Yeah. These guys never die. We never die. If that makes sense. If you because you live on through others.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if there's like a central point to this, that's, you know, it's that you can achieve high performance, but you can have a freaking good time doing it. Yeah. You can love doing it, and it'll reside in you forever. Yeah. It's a feeling that will never leave you. Yeah. And will want to be part of everything that you do from then on. That's what that experience gave me. You know, what we talk about and what I talk about a lot, it's about people and it's about relationships. And I think hopefully that was the first thing I conveyed to you. And when we had the conversation was, you know, that's the most important thing to me, is relationships and, you know, searching for a solution that makes it not just about me. but hopefully finds a sort of common ground for where we go forward, going, with it.
When you present this in a week's time, it's going to be in a very, very short form. It's a first run out. So, if you think about preparing for a sporting contest, this is a training session. It's an important one because you want to get it right.
Yeah.
But we're going to review back on the other side. What have we learnt? What resonated? Where did you see the impact with people?
Do you know what though? I think it's a bit further on than that, because I think the beauty of it is the material has kind of been there. You've just given me so much better structure for it and thought and sort of things to hang out on the principle side of things. Yeah. That means that to me it's a bit like, dare I say, take it back to that. We played this game plan in the quarterfinal. All right, we need to tweak things around a bit and give it a bit more structure for what we're facing next. Yeah. And what's coming. So this is last season's game plan. Yeah. Why don't we take it forward, and this is how I'd tinker with it. Yeah. And think about it in this way to, this was best practice last year. This is best practice going forward. Yeah. And we will always seek to improve it. Yeah. So we'll give it the best shot. We'll come out, we'll review it. We'll look at what worked well, what we want to work on and improve, and then we'll flip it forward again. We often imagine what a challenge might look like before we get there, but the reality is normally very different than we've imagined. The question is, how do we respond? Do we embrace them or get consumed by them? So Tony turned up on the day expecting to see a screen on the wall where he could show his PowerPoint slides. There was no screen. As a speaker, you've got to be prepared for that. It's just got to be built into your plan B. Somewhere that you can go to very quickly. But it is a curveball, and one that I think almost speakers need to experience as part of their journey. You could try and hold it up on the iPad. I suspect that wouldn't probably have the impact that you're looking for, but actually to engage people, you could just tell the story that paints the picture that you're looking to share. Yeah, and that's essentially where I was hoping to get to. This has just accelerated the process of having to kind of do that now.
I'm always a big believer, expect the IT to break, expect the power to fail, just be in a position where if it all goes to shit, you can still stand up there and do your thing. Yeah. So this is a great training ground.
You planned this actually. You had a word with Bianca actually, rang her a little bit earlier and just said, you said you were going to do the slides. Just slam it. We want to just put Tony on the spot. No, so that's, we'll just, there she is.
Thank you for inviting
Tony, you absolute ledge.
You're right.
I'm really good. Have you met Henrik?
Yes,
Henrik is
So first engagement we sort of went together to was the Leaders with Purpose with Bianca Robinson and an amazing group of people that she brought together, and she kindly asked me if I'd say a few words. I said at the time, quite an intimidating thing to go down to with so many people whose CVs and what they've delivered themselves are mind-blowing, and asking me to stand in front of them and talk to them about my thoughts. But again, they are fierce carers, and I was in the right room, so it was a wonderful place to start.
Can I say thank you to each and every one of you for answering the heralding cry that I put out for Leaders with Purpose to join us for a very, very special dinner. We've got unreal people around the table, and all will be revealed very, very soon. We have got two phenomenal thought leaders and speakers. Tony Underwood is a name most of us know. I know because I'm a Kiwi, and I just told my sister 2 days ago, I said, and Tony Underwood's doing one of the talks. Oh, Tony Underwood, he's a legend. He's an absolute legend. He went up against Jonah. Sorry, Tony. Maybe that shall not be mentioned.
The build-up to the event, I felt relatively comfortable in terms of the description of leaders with purpose, and I'm thinking, well, I think I'm one of those. But once these CVs or these descriptions about what every single person around this table said they've done or doing, there was definitely an imposter syndrome starting to sink in. So that emotion starting to come in and think, what am I doing in this room with these people, and what value can I hope to bring to them?
Introduce to you again the amazing Tony Underwood, everyone.
Can I just say, this is impossible. It really is. I mean, it's easy to joke about this, but it really is. I kind of start most things by kind of saying I'm an ordinary bloke, but you really feel ordinary in front of you guys. I mean, yes, I've done some extraordinary things, which the only thing is, because it's in the profile, some of you won't have a clue who I am. But this unsung stuff that you guys are doing just makes me feel so trivial. I really don't know what to say. I really mean that. I think the first thing is, thank you for putting me on the spot here, because I put up a nice big screen, showing some nice pictures, just like talk you through some pictures. So forgive me if I look down a little bit here, but I just wanted one image to show you, because you kindly say I'm a humble, it's been talked about I've been a humble bloke. But let me just shatter that.
London was a really interesting challenge for Tony. I'll admit, I'd never seen him speak before. I didn't know what I was going to see. I didn't know how confident he was going to be going into this process.
We'd explored it a little bit beforehand, because we'd talked about this on previous occasions, about how maybe there's a tendency for me to be relying on that crux too much, and having, my pushback is I didn't feel it was a death by PowerPoint kind of presentation, because it's photos and it's videos and it's imagery to add to one that your voice portrays, or your narrative telling skills brings out the evocative image that I like to have behind me, so I don't have to do that. So that's what I had to start leaning into, is, okay, well, if I'm not going to see a 6'5" Jonah behind me on a screen, if I'm not going to have him scoring tries, how do I paint that picture in words? And I know that was something we talked about. Very quickly, it had to become something that I did that evening. So the imagery is still good to have, and I still want it there, because I think it helps to just bring it out. But, there's enough in me.
There's physical scars you get when you're in a game of rugby, but you'll now know it's the mental stuff. It's the mental stuff of any challenges you face, especially when you're, physically and emotionally put through the ringer like I was, where you come out of it at the other end thinking, oh my God, rock bottom. And that's playing a sport, okay, I get it. It's just a sport, but it's in front of millions watching, and it's become part of my life. Because every time anyone wants to talk about my rugby career, they don't talk about that moment. Yeah. All right? They talk about that moment. Oh. All right? And I just want to share that with you. Oh. You met Heidi, haven't you?
Oh, Heidi's fantastic.
She's
wonderful. So gorgeous.
So this is December 1995, a few months later.
Wow.
My best man brought out a life-size cutout of Jonah Loman my way.
What an absolute rotter.
Not even good enough that day to marry Heidi. Thankfully, she stuck with me. But that was the start of a journey, really, for the last, well, it's coming up to 30 years now. Anyone who wants to talk about my rugby career, usually invariably it comes on to the day I failed, the day I wasn't good enough. That hits you. And it hit me hard then. But how do I... Sorry, let me get it out. Peter, could you do me a favour? In the rucksack in the corner, please. There's a little... just with a yellow drinks thing.
By the way, I had a go out of the way of trying to remove it.
I did.
So once you've got a structure, you do have to practice it, really practice it, so that you understand it, you're clear about it, you've got your messaging clear, you've practiced some of the phrases, particularly the link phrases, that you've nailed down those really important bits of your presentation. I'm not entirely sure that Tony did as much practice as maybe he should have walking into the London session, probably didn't have as many plan Bs up his sleeve, hadn't really got a feel for the start, the end, and those critical pieces that those takeaway messages that he wanted to leave people with. But it's all part of the learning curve, and I suspect post London he realised that and spent a lot more time getting those things right.
So those two instances I want to share with you is about, in those very diverse experiences, sport to aviation, very diverse in terms of the time that you have with each other, what you're working for and against, okay? That it's exactly the same thing that brought that group together. All the stuff you're talking about putting people first, it's about love, and it's about creating a sense of unity amongst that group through a real sense of being able to engage with them, empower them, to elevate them.
There are periods within my delivery where I've just got to really focus on this has to be impactful, and I wasn't enough. So I think I got to the bits which were the takeaway elements about what are the stages of, that I talk about in terms of embedding the right environment and culture, where this is the bit that counts. If you like, I've done all the good stuff. This is the bit that's really going to hit home, and that's when I just went bleh. Through that period of just like, oh, thank goodness I got to here, just say as quickly as I can, and then run away. And so I think that was the main bit, was around those aspects, and about having a really clear sense of beginning and end, in terms of, I think I just sort of like bumbled into a start, and then having a sense of I don't think it's not so much a call to action, but it's more a sense of a close to it as well.
To that point about it being the journey, your goal isn't the World Cup semi-final of beating New Zealand. It's all about the legacy you create. It's all about the journey that you spend and how you spend your time. These guys, for me, they're the ripples that I want to pay forward for what they gave me, what they've left with me. You're all doing it around the table. We can share in some way what we're doing. I think there's an unbelievable opportunity. So,
Tony, thank you. Thank you for being a beacon, Tony.
I should have said questions, but I kind of.
So Tony and I had a conversation on the train on the way home, and I like to unpack it, review it, look at the positives, the stuff that you're going to keep doing because it's good stuff, and the stuff that you're going to work on. I tend to use a 0 to 10 scoring system, and as we came away from that, I think we were both pretty, we had a fairly similar view on this. I think we both scored it a 6 out of 10. And when I looked at it, there were a couple of pieces that I thought really would help him. Firstly, the start, making sure you get a really solid start and a strong start and you engage the audience. Making sure you get a strong end as well. And that whatever your really key message is, it's well defined and well delivered. And if you can get those bits right, then that's almost like the skeleton around which you hang everything. On the plus side though, his ability to engage an audience as a human being, just to engage people person to person, is fantastic. And I think any room that he's in, people will warm to him. He's got a story. Over time, he will become more confident in telling that story. But he's got a really good foundation to work from. It's almost like technical little bits that he can do better. And that's really what we pulled out as we came away from London.
I don't know whether I was hypercritical. I did know that I could have done a lot better job. But in terms of how I made people feel, I think I go 6.5, 7-ish, something like that. Yeah. Gave myself some margin for growth because, because you need to, because it was by no means perfect, but it's good enough from the aspect of, okay, well, I walked away from there feeling like, okay, well, I've moved some people. And I think that's maybe what helped, again, because you had a crowd that were leaning in back to me, that you had a receptive group there, which were kind of like, I could have said anything, but being me, and I'd had a reasonable response from everyone. But how can I lift that to the next stage, or how can I lift it such that if I don't have a crowd that's leaning in like that, you know, how are they going to respond if it's not enough just being me?
We join Nick as he delivers his big charity fundraising event. It's the culmination of weeks of hard work and the summit of a mountain he wants to climb.
I know from experience that getting a room full of people is difficult. And honestly, Nick only left himself 6 weeks. I thought it was going to be a tough call.
Want to take part and achieve your big, hairy, scary goal? For more information about the next series of This Is Mental and how you could get involved, visit thisismental.tv.